With voters that you don't agree with, sir?
Vice President, on the coronavirus, they're both targeting you over this exchange this morning with the voter about guns. Any regrets about how you handle it?
Well, I'm surprised that Sanders is joining Trump. It's just surprising.
Was it appropriate to swear at an American, though, especially a union voter? Was it appropriate?
Thank you.
Mr. Biden, just a clarification on Social Security record from earlier.
A little bit of an answer.
Issue out of it. For you. What is this?
Mr. Vice President, do you think Bernie Sanders would be a risk for the party?
You'd ask, so I decided to write it up for you, so you knew.
Thank you, but how should voters consider this?
Want to see China rise, to continue to rise in a responsible way that will benefit you most, China, because you have an important role to play. A rising China can be a significant asset for the region and the world, and selfishly for the United States. Want to see.
Got to be steady, stay the course, and continue to produce these incredible jobs. And by the way, the pay for the jobs are outpacing the inflation rate they're paying. We're going to be able to deal with this. It's going to take a little more time, but we're just focused on it. Got to be steady, stay the course, and continue to produce these incredible jobs. I've never thought I'd see a time when I'm going through a neighborhood or a rural town in the West or something and see big signs that have a Trump sign in the middle that says F. Biden, and having a little kid standing with his middle finger. 7 years old, 8 years old. Well, I promise it happens all the time. Next, a 100% tariff on electric vehicles made in China. People say, wow. Because we're not going to let China flood our market, making it impossible for American auto manufacturers to compete fairly. We're also implementing a 25% tariff on electric vehicle batteries from China and a 25% tariff on critical minerals that make those batteries. Next.
Mr. President, Trump said today China is eating our lunch. What do you say in response? He said China is eating our lunch. That's what Trump said today.
He's been feeding it a long time. The reason to do this is simple. Electric charging stations have to be as easy to find as a gas station. And that's what this will be. You're not going to have to worry about it. You're taking off and you're not going to be able to make it all across the country without having to figure something else out. That's why today I'm announcing new tariffs in key sectors of the economy that are going to ensure that our workers are not held back by unfair trade practices. Look, America invented these cheap. The price of gas in America is $3.39, down from over $5 when I took.
Morgan Sherwin. This is Morgan Sherwin and Sam.
This storm extremely seriously, and I don't know whether your boss will let you. If you all have travel plans, leave now. I'm not a joke. I'm sending my staff. If they had plans to leave on tomorrow, late tonight or tomorrow, tell them to leave now. They can talk to me on the phone. It's not life and death. It will be if they don't get out. They may not get out.
On Russian disintegration.
Yes. God love you, man. You're a one-horse pony. I'll tell you. Thank you. I promise you, my Justice Department will be totally on its own, making its judgments about how they should proceed. Thank you. It really is, and it's real. But the fact is that if you take a look at what the people have, they have the money to spend.
Biden tells factory workers they're full of ish. It's always someone else's fault.
Whatever your party is, voters don't process it that way. They don't like that.
Let me be clear. If you're in a state where hurricanes often strike, like Florida or the Gulf Coast or into Texas, a vital part of preparing for hurricane season is to get vaccinated now. Everything is more complicated if you're not vaccinated in a hurricane or not. Tremendous amount of things you can cut. let me be precise. Tremendous amount of things you can do, not cut. He said, I will, but the bottom line is, he's still at it. Every objective alternative points out we've had the most successful economy of any major economy in the world, of the Pennsylvania Press, the Scranton Press. You think I'm kidding, it wasn't, but anyway. And he would, they'd come and have, thanks to the mayor, excuse me, I was going to talk about the old mayor. Trump's running together the same failed trickle-down policies. You know what? It's amazing how retribution. Thank you, folks. Look at, gas prices, and you take a look at oil prices. That is a consequence of thus far, and we'll see what happens on that score sooner than later. And we're still feeling the profound loss of the pandemic, as I mentioned, of over 100 people dead. That's 100 empty chairs around the kitchen table. Every single loss, there are so many people left behind and brokenhearted. And there's still... Oh, yeah, well, sure it worries me in the sense that I'm looking forward to this, man. You walk behind me in a debate. Come here, man. No, you think you know me too well. I mean, the idea... Look, all I got to do is watch me, and I can hardly wait to compare my cognitive capability to the cognitive capability of the man I'm running against. Look, appropriate that I didn't understand, that I assumed. Look, I was... Anyway. They got shot down in New Guinea, and they never found the body because there were a lot of cannibals for real in that part of New Guinea. I am somewhere, I don't know when, I'm happy to debate him.
I was not an activist.
You know, when I was a teenager in Delaware, for real, I got involved in the civil rights movement.
I was not out marching. I was not down in Selma. I was not anywhere else. I came out of the civil rights movement. I was one of those guys that sat in and marched and all that stuff.
How many of you did really well with that $1.9 trillion tax cut that increased? Really good shape, right? Really changed your... Well, you did. Well, that's good. I'm glad to see you're doing well already. And I'm good. But guess what? If you elect me, you're not going to have your taxes are going to be raised, not cut, if you benefit from that. Abraham Lincoln here is one of the most racist presidents we've had. This is not about me. It's not about my son. There's not a shred of evidence there's anything done that's wrong. This is the guy that's unhinged. He is unhinged. I know what occurred in Ukraine. I know what occurred in terms of China. I know what occurred in terms of Russia. He does not want to run against me. Let's focus on the problem. Focus on this man, what he's doing, that no president has ever done. No president. You're pointing out when he's flat lying, where there is no evidence, none. We'll teach Donald Trump and extreme MAGA Republicans a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women of America. I mean it.
Your borders are gone.
I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
A new migrant caravan of up to 7,000 people now passing through Mexico, heading straight for the U.S. southern border.
Back now with the record number of migrants crossing into the U.S., pushing resources to the limit in many American cities.
Former Vice President Joe Biden promised to give free federal health care to anyone in the world who illegally crosses our border.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
his plan to provide government health care to illegal immigrants would bankrupt our health care system.
Tonight, one of Colorado's largest hospitals facing a crisis. Physicians at Denver Health telling us they treat...
1.2 billion. So you go ahead and you stack spaghetti sauce at a store and in a supermarket. You control the guy or the woman who brings out the carts on a forklift. What happened? That man doesn't deserve to be the commander-in-chief for my son.
Donald Trump has...
The president came full of stories for Stern today. Biden told him about the time he was arrested for standing on a black guy's porch.
I looked at my mom, I said, honey, you haven't said anything. She said, Joey, remember? True story. She said, remember when they were desegregating Linfield, a neighborhood that was, 70 homes built at one, suburbia? And I told you, and there was a black family moving in, and there was people who were down there protesting. I told you not to go down there, and you went down. Remember that? And you got arrested by standing on the porch with a black family. Right. And they brought you back, the police. And I said, yeah, Mom, I remember that.
When Biden says true...
We met before. It's hard to forget those eyes. Look at those eyes.
Yeah,
look at them.
She just was the queen of the...
That is not surprising.
Isn't it true?
That is not surprising. What are you doing now, kiddo? You're still in school?
No, I just got out of school. I'm about to start working for Bankers Company. And
well,
then
great. Good for you.
We'll teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit. In a sense, I don't know why we're surprised by Trump. How many times does he have to prove we can't be trusted? Thing going on around the world. Anyway, thank you so very, very much. I can't stay. I've got to go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Good afternoon, folks. I'm not introducing me. Mark is. I forgot Mark. I went straight to the podium. I apologize.
No problem. President Joe Biden.
Folks, Mark, thank you very much for the introduction. Look, a little over a year ago, I signed the Bipartisan Chips and Science Act. That act did two things. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold. And I want to thank Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Todd Young and Representative Representative Joe Morelli and Susan Wild for their work to make this happen. Representatives from many of these hubs are in the screen behind me and in front of me. That's why I was starting to look to see whether they were still there. The press has started to call my plan Bidenomics. Soon NATO will be the 32nd freestanding, have 32 freestanding members. I think it's a right for people to have bad health care. True international effort to pressure. God, I can't believe I said that. We went for two reasons. One, to come on, man. The guy who runs that outfit over there. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him. What am I doing here? Pep talker. Yeah. Wait. All men and women created by go. You know the thing.
Why is President Biden saying that his Uncle Bozy was eaten by cannibals?
We called him Uncle Bozy. He got shot down in an area where there were a lot of cannibals at the time. They never recovered his body, but the government went back when I went down there and they checked and found parts of the plane and the like. My inherited economy is on the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. Wages keep going up, inflation keeps coming down. If inflation keeps coming down, mortgage rates will come down as well. that tonight we can proudly say the state of our union is strong and getting stronger. Let me take the one question from the most interesting guy that I know in the press. That's you.
Mr. President, there had not been a U.S. service member killed in combat in Afghanistan since February of 2020. You set a deadline, you pulled troops out, you sent troops back in, and now 12 Marines are dead.
Come on, man.
You said the buck stops with you. Do you bear any responsibility for the way that things have unfolded in the last 2 weeks?
I bear responsibility for fundamentally all that's happened of late. But here's the deal. You know, I wish you'd one day say these things. You know as well as I do.
I don't know
that the former president made a deal with the Taliban that he would get all American forces out of Afghanistan by May 1. In return, the commitment was made, and that was a year before. In return, he was given a commitment that the Taliban would continue to attack others, but would not attack any American forces.
What?
Remember that? I'm being serious. No, I'm asking you a question. Because before... No, wait a minute. I'm asking you a question. Is that accurate, to the best of your knowledge? What?
I don't think it's the issue that, do you think that people have an issue with pulling out of Afghanistan or just the way that things have happened?
I think they have an issue that people are likely to get hurt. Some, as we've seen, have gotten killed, and that it is messy. Remember what you saw on television. Remember seeing those neo-Nazis and Klansmen and white supremacists coming out of fields with lighted torches. And remember what the president said when asked?
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
Their veins bulging.
He said specifically that he was condemning them.
No, he did not. He said he walked out and he said, let's get this straight. The veins bulging on their, as they were screaming. Remember, just close your eyes and picture what it was. Their veins bulging. Their veins bulging. Nazi sympathizers carrying Nazi fags. Veins bulging. Their veins bulging. Veins bulging. Veins bulging. How are you, baby? How old are you? Their veins bulging. Just their veins bulging. Bulging. Veins. Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys. Their veins they're bulging. Their veins bulging. Their veins bulging. Veins is bulging. Bulging. Fewer. Have you ever heard this president say one negative thing about white supremacists? Have you ever heard it?
Racism is evil.
Damn it.
And those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and...
So for all those Republicans in Congress criticizing me today for high gas prices in America, are you now saying we were wrong to support Ukraine? Are you saying we were wrong to stand up to Putin? Are you saying that we would rather have lower gas prices in America and Putin's iron fist in Europe? So, what offends me the most is when he refused as president to visit an American cemetery outside of Paris when he was president. Why? He said that those soldiers who gave their lives were, quote, suckers and losers. Suckers and losers, he said it. Who the hell does he think he is? Who does he think he is? These are heroes. One that offends. Just the other day, a defeated-looking guy came up to me and asked if I could help. He was drowning in debt. I said, I'm sorry, Donald, but I can't help you.
I look good, touch my swag, this shit cool. I look fly.
when you're always afraid. Step out of line.
I thought I'd see a time when I'm going through a neighborhood or a rural town in the West or something and see big signs that have a Trump sign in the middle. I was sort of raised in the Puerto Rican community. I had a very close relationship with the Greek American community, for real. I am Joe Bidenopoulos. I grew up in a heavily Irish Catholic community in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and a heavily Italian Polish community. When I say I got raised in the black church, he knows I'm not kidding. The Persian culture is amazing. As a student of the Persian culture, I probably went to shul more than many of you. I come out of the black community. The background of my family is Irish American, not fundamentally unlike the Palestinian people. You might say, raised in the synagogues in my state. Everybody in town was either Polish or Italian. I grew up feeling self-conscious. My name didn't end in an S. It's like rabbis, synagogues, and Jewish community centers in your hometown, and that's the tradition I got raised. Hard-working people, the middle class, the neighborhoods I got raised in. I was raised on GM. I was raised by Danny Inouye. I was raised by a righteous Christian. Joan Shengang, I'm going to pronounce it, Shanga Kawawa.
Canada is the greatest state in America. Folks, syrup, maple. Folks, frozen wasteland. They got the president, Justin Bieber. Folks, little guy. They got beavers. They wear hard hats. Good people, folks. Fact is, the ground's made of ice cream. Go there and lick it up. Yum, yum, yum.
Remove every single social tie. I had severe PTSD from this. I contemplated suicide. It got really bad. You feel like any little piece of information that gets out on you will be used by the worst people on the internet to destroy your life. And it's so isolating. And terrifying. It's horrifying. I'm so fine. It's really
in the Book of Mormon, 1999, folks. Look, buy my book, read it. Tell me what it says. Because I can't read. Can only write. Fact is, folks, I changed some stuff too. I had some details about my life. How 500 million years ago, I lived in the water. Then I evolved, came on, lived on land. I was an anthropod. Folks, American history is evolving, American evolution is evolving. Folks, look, I have scales. I was a fossil. It brought me back. Jurassic Park. I remember when I was just a little boy. The year was 1901. I was this big. I remember I lived in a 2x4. And I would ride this little snail to work. I would deliver newspapers. And it was an incredible thing. I had a friend. He was an ant. And he told me, he said, Joe, one day you're going to, man, come on, look, folks.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the President of the United States.
Valentine's Day, folks, love's in the air. Folks, literally, Cupid's in the air, flying. Folks, good friend of mine. He's a grown man, shaped like a baby. Got baby arms, baby legs, little baby wings. Folks, he's like a fly, human fly. Shoots arrows with hearts, heart arrows. Folks, everyone loves. Love is a powerful thing. Love is, folks, love is, folks, love is when you lick someone's neck, suck on the earlobes, slobber on them. Folks, swallow them like a whale, like the whale swallowed Pinocchio. I've been told I was too young. Became a senator in the first trimester. I was an embryo. My mother was a colonist, sailed here on the Mayflower. I've also been told I was too old. Not too old. Since when is 2,598 too old? America's changed. Folks, whatever happened to predictability? Milk Boy, Paper Man, Evening TV, folks. Look, when I was a little boy, I was a colonist. I was born in a metal scrapyard. Didn't have toys. Played with metal shards and drank petroleum. Folks, I lost both my brothers in a conveyor belt accident. They turned them into model Maltese. Ford Maltese. Oh, it's not easy, man. Look, it's 3 years old. I had to wear a suit and tie, go to work, feed my family. I had polio. I was a doctor.
So it's Friday night. I'm getting ready to go out. I'm feeling tired. But before I go out, I've got to pregame. And the only way I pregame is with an ice cold Bud Light. So good. Happy Friday.
And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on. It is used to make the brew beer in this refinery. Oh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes. Donald Trump, when he was commander-in-chief, refused to visit a cemetery, U.S. cemetery outside of Paris for fallen American soldiers. And he referred to those heroes, and I quote, as suckers and losers. He actually said that. He said that. How dare he say that? How dare he talk about my son and all of us like that? Let me close with this. It's fitting today marks the first time the National Prayer Breakfast is being held here in Statuary Hall. This is where the House of Representatives met for 50 years leading up to the Civil War. It's where Congressman from Illinois, Abraham Lincoln, sat at desk number 191 before becoming president, who served our union and saved it. History remembers President Lincoln's first inaugural address, counseling us to heed, quote, the better angels of our nature, the better angels of our nature. We do well to remember what he said just a few moments before he concluded the same address. At a moment of deep division in our nation, President Lincoln said, we are not enemies. He said, we are not enemies, but friends. We must not be enemies, he went on to say. I've long believed we have to look at each other, even in our most challenging times, not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. Scripture tells us the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness. I believe that's our collective calling today. Here we are in this room among the statue of heroes who shaped our history. And here we know faith is a living spirit that awakens our passions to come down from the pedestal and act to serve. That's why over the door of the rotunda there's a scripture depicting Cleo, the muse of history. In her hands is an open book in which she records the events taking place here. In the citadel of democracy, she's a silent witness to the American story of war and peace, insurrection and stability. As we gather this morning, what will Cleo write for the future about what we did in our time? What will she write about us? My prayer, my hope, is we continue to believe our best days are ahead of us. That as a nation, we continue to believe in honesty, decency, dignity, and respect. We see each other not as enemies, but as fellow human beings.
Nobody listens to.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure. True international effort to pressure. $1 billion from the bipartisan infrastructure law. Bipartisan infrastructure law. We get thousands. Look, we now have. We used to, before the recession, before the pandemic. My professor. Well, I won't get into my professor. Well, look, my predecessor, though. I want to be clear. I'm not going nuts. Shrinkflation. You see that article about the Snickers bars? Well, it's going to stop. America, we're tired of being played for suckers. Shrinkflation. You see that article about the Snickers bar? Folks, if I were smart, I'd say thank you and leave. Folks, will you shut up, man?
Listen,
Keep yapping, man.
So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now.
Are you going to pack the court?
Make sure you, in fact, let people know you're a senator. I'm not going to answer the question.
Why would you answer that
because
question?
The question is, the question is,
radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe? Who's on your list?
Right. Gentlemen, I think
this
we've
is
ended
so
this.
He's going to pack the court.
Not going to give a list. We have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the second segment.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it?
I mean, the guy can't find his way off of a stage. Look, here's the stage. Here's the stage. I've never seen this stupid stage before.
The average tax rate they pay, 8%. 8%.
Corporate America found the cheapest labor in the world, and they sent the jobs to those laborers and sent the product back to us. But not anymore. We're building product here and shipping it overseas. Buy America and build America. I mean it. And what's really important, you made sure the auto future of the world will be made in America. I'm a little worried. Some of the major economists in American history are now giving me credit. It's like, oh, God, what's going on? That's why my bipartisan infrastructure law is building a network of 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations all across America, installed by your brothers and sisters of the IABW. That's what's doing it.
Don't need this menu. No, I don't. I already know just what I want.
So I was sort of raised in the Puerto Rican community at home. More than half the women in my cabinet, more than half the people in my cabinet, more than half the women in my administration are women. We have 1,000 billionaires in America. You know the average tax rate they pay? 8%. 8%. I hibernated in Iowa for a while, but if I can digress for just a second. Last night I was on television. I was on the telephone, and she was forced to have to travel out of the state to Indiana to seek to terminate the presidency and maybe save her life. That's the last part is my judgment. So the best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway. This struggle is no longer just over who gets to vote or making it easier for eligible people to vote. It's about who gets to count the votes, whether they should count at all. Before I took office, there were a lot of folks out there making some pretty bold predictions about how things would turn out.
But if Biden wins, your borders are gone, the middle class is gone, your safety is gone. Gas prices going $5, $6, $7 for a gallon. Flood your communities with criminal aliens, drugs, and crime. You spend trillions of dollars rebuilding foreign nations, fighting foreign wars, and defending foreign borders.
So for all those predictions of doom and gloom, here's where we stand. Look, the bottom line. And you're the future of our nation. Everybody says, why have I always been so fundamentally focused on Latinos? Simple proposition. You make up 28% of the students in America. Think about it. 28% of all the students in high school and grade school in America are Latino. And I want to tell you, the idea we're not going to pay attention is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Look, we have your backs, and you've had ours. In March, in Nevada, I invited the most ambitious housing plan for decades to come into being.
And by the way, my economic plan has been analyzed by the guys on Wall Street. You know what they say? They say my plan will create 18.6 million good-paying jobs. 7 million more than he's going to be able to create if he got elected.
You might say raised and... With the help of your members of Congress here today, I signed into law a once-in-a-generation investment in roads, highways, bridges, railroads, ports, airports, and so much more. Over $1.2 trillion. It's called the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. With the help of your members of Congress here today, I signed into law.
It's not me, it's you. Team Biden seems to think that if you aren't better off now than you were 4 years ago, then you just aren't educated.
On the border, why is the border more overwhelmed under your watch, Mr. President?
Because there are 3 countries that there are fewer immigrants coming from Central America and from Mexico. This is a totally different circumstance. What's on my watch now is Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua. And the ability to send them back to those states is not rational. You could send them back and have them, we're working with Mexico and other countries to see if we can stop the flow. But that's the difference. Thank you.
This is the kind of family that built this country. That's why my family is so proud to call ourselves honorary Bidens. Pleased to award our nation's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Joseph Robinette Biden, Jr.
Vice President Joseph R. Biden, Jr. has left his mark on almost every part of our nation. A grateful nation thanks Vice President Joseph R. Biden, Jr. for his lifetime of service on behalf of the United States of America.
I continue to lean on Hunter, who continues to, in a bizarre kind of way, raise me. I don't deserve this, but it's an amazing thing that happened. And Mr. President, you know, as long as there's a breath in me, I'll be there for you. My whole family will be, and I know it is reciprocal.
Scott of Florida is outside the courthouse.